Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. We're talking about Infinity War, and we're going to spoil the hell out of the movie. Talk about some predictions as well in there, and I'm going to rant a little bit, because that's what I do. Kevin, you finally saw Infinity War, because it took you a week longer than me.
It took me 4 days longer.
Okay.
I love how in the day and age that we live in, that watching something on Tuesday of an opening weekend, it's like, oh my gosh, you finally saw it.
I saw it on Saturday. I felt like a bum. I had tickets for Thursday night, opening night, 7 p.m. and then Whitney had to work, and I was going to get tickets for a later showing, but we both had to work in the morning. So, it sucked. But let's do a quick recap of the movie, because we're talking about spoilers. So, starts off... Oh, sorry, you were going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say that I was really surprised that he starts with... What was it, a single soul stone that he had before the movie starts? And then by the end of the film...
Reality stone.
Yeah. And by the end of the film, he has them all.
Yep.
I really wasn't expecting that.
I predicted that, and I predicted exactly how the movie was going to end, for the most part.
Fine.
For the most part, my prediction was that it ended with this, and it ended with that and showed more. And I didn't expect them to show how far it went. So that was really cool. But yeah, it starts the very beginning. He already has the reality gem, and I may get some of these things wrong, but it should have been I believe it's the reality gem. That was it, reality or power? Power.
I think it was power, because reality was the one that the collector had, right?
Correct. Yeah. So he has power, and then very beginning, he's invaded the Asgardian ship. He's manhandling Thor. He kills Heimdall, which I loved, because it destroyed the stupid theory that he was the Soul Stone. No.
Yeah. And he killed Heimdall to basically punish him for sending Hulk off to warn the rest of humanity.
Yeah. He manhandles Hulk, which was the first. I mean, I loved. To me, Ebony Maw was probably one of my favorite parts of this movie. But watching him preach, and then Obsidian Cull was about to intervene when Hulk came in, and Ebony Maw's like, "No, let him have his fun." Which was great. And then Thanos outboxes Hulk, because it was a very boxing, dodge and weave and beat the crap out of him, and scared Hulk to the point where Hulk could not come back. Kills Loki, which I also predicted Loki would die in this movie, because I thought his story arc has been done for quite a while. And I think that set the tone for the first scene, that even with just one gem, which he didn't even use on Hulk, it shows how powerful he is, and it shows the danger involved. We then almost immediately brings danger to New York, where Doctor Strange is involved. And Tony Stark, which great scene, Tony and Banner talking about, bring out the big guy, and Hulk just can't come out. Which I thought was great. Again, Ebony Maw wrecking the place, and then afterwards, which a lot of people were joking about.
One other thing. So I really enjoyed the fact that we got to see Doctor Strange actually use artifacts and things, rather than just whips and sparkles and holes. And you could see the glowing bands around his wrists and things like that. And I really enjoyed that aspect of seeing Strange, and it felt more like you can't make him this all-powerful being or whatever, but it really showed the versatility and the power of his magic. And I really appreciated that, because I love Strange.
Strange was amazing in it. And then I did love that what's his name, I forgot Strange's
companion. Yeah.
companion. Forgot his name.
Sorry.
I can't believe I'm spacing on it. But he's like the sanctum's unprotected. I have to go. Peace. And he gets out of there, which I get. I understand that, but everybody's like, "What are you doing? The fate of the universe and everything." And I'm like, "Yeah, but there's so much there that needs to be protected, and that's what they're trying to do." And at that point, they're like, "Okay, well, Strange is in charge. Like the time gem is gone, right? The Infinity Stone, Time Infinity Stone is gone. So that's the only thing that he has control of, and that he is sworn to protect. So that made sense." Strange being kidnapped, I thought was really cool. And then Guardians, I like the interaction. There's some interactions that I didn't like that I thought were really interesting, like Thor and the Guardians makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And
it was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, and I think that Thor Ragnarok bridged that gap where you could see some of the humor there. That can take place, because Thor 1 and 2 it had some comedic moments to an extent, but you really got to see Thor in Ragnarok become more comedic, so it worked really well with Guardians of the Galaxy. And I also, Chris Pratt did a really good job in this. A lot of people were bashing him, saying that Star-Lord became a complete idiot in this movie. But if you watched Guardians 1 or 2, he is an idiot. And he is his own hype man, is what I like to say. Like, there are other people who are great. Tony Stark, he's arrogant, but he can back it up. Star-Lord is arrogant, and he really can't. That's part of his character that makes him endearing, and he is very fallible, and he's very bad at what he does most of the time. And it's the team that works really well. Star-Lord himself is not supposed to be very good, and multiple times in this movie causes issues because of that, which I did love that he was trying to be more manly with Thor there, because he felt threatened.
That was fun.
It was really fun. I think I don't want to rehash everything in the movie, but I think that first of all, getting Spider-Man involved and getting him the Iron Spider suit was amazing. I absolutely love the suit. Tony sending it out, because we saw it at the very end of Spider-Man Homecoming, that he had this brand new suit, and Parker's like, "No, I don't want to," he basically admits he needs more time. He's not mature enough, which is kind of a test, but it really wasn't. And that I can do away with. But I liked that aspect.
Whenever the Iron Spider suit came on, I know that I kind of giggled and squealed a little bit, because Iron Spider is Spider-Man is and has been my favorite comic book character of all time, and the Iron Spider is my favorite of his suits. Iron Spider,
it was amazing. I like this version of Iron Spider. It's amazing, and watching Tom Holland's performance in this proves why he is the best Spider-Man
absolutely
ever. I loved that throughout the previous movies and in this movie, you see the interaction between Stark and Parker, where Stark is a reluctant mentor, but at the same time, he is a mentor. He wants to help. He wants to be there, but at the same time, that's a weird relationship for him to have. And I think this movie, Stark's first scene in the movie set the tone for that, where Stark is saying that he had a dream that they had a kid.
Yeah.
And I think that they put that in there. I like that they showed Pepper as well, because we've been wondering what's going on with them.
Yeah.
But also having him talk about that at the very beginning shows where he is mentally, and what happens with Parker throughout the movie shows him becoming that father figure, that mentor figure, and seeing how dangerous it can get. They end up killing Ebony Maw, which I was really upset about, because he was amazing. and end up on Titan. He ended up on Titan, and and he's reluctant about all of it. Thor needs to find a new weapon, which a lot of people are speculating that's the reason that Thanos waited to try to find the Infinity Stones, because very beginning of the movie he's like, I've got one, I know where 4 of the others are, and I need to know where the Soul Stone is. He already knows where all of them are, so people were saying, well, why did he wait? So some people are speculating it's because Mjolnir is that powerful that it would cause a big problem for him. And with Hela destroying Mjolnir, Thanos thought, okay, this is the perfect time, which is why he destroyed the Soul Forge after getting the gauntlet created, which I thought was great. Which brings us to Peter Dinklage as the King of the Dwarves who created Mjolnir and the Infinity Gauntlet, and I thought his performance was lackluster, and I was very disappointed. And
usually you get a lot more out of Peter Dinklage.
You do. I like Peter Dinklage, but I felt like his delivery was hit or miss. Like there were some when he's talking about them killing all the dwarves, it was like, I've seen the movie twice, so the first time I saw it, I was surprised that he was in that role. And then the second time, it really hit me how weak some of his delivery was. There were some jokes that fell really flat. Him joking about Thor's going to hold open this aperture so that way the power of the star can go through and can fuel the furnace.
Yeah.
And he says something to the effect of it'll kill you, and Thor says then I'll die, whatever, and he's like, yeah, that's what killing means. And I get it, it's a dry joke, but Tyrion could have nailed that joke, and I felt like it did not work here. Part of it may be because he was working completely by himself. He was completely green screened. He did not have any interaction with any actor. So
and I think that might be one of Dinklage's weaknesses, because when he was playing the Ghost, that was also just a sound set where he was interacting without people, and he works best when he's able to physically interact. The slaps.
Yeah.
I mean that's just one of my favorite moments. And if you've seen what was that movie, Penelope?
Yeah.
Is fantastic performance in that, and he's actually interacting with other people. Death at a Funeral, the way that he plays off of other people in the room.
Yeah. He's a stage actor. I mean,
he really is.
And I felt like that's the only thing that I didn't like about this movie. The going forward, so you have the Guardians are trying to stop Thanos. They try to get to the Collector before he's there. Thanos has set up a trap for them, and is showing them him interacting with the Collector when he really was already gone.
And the you get to see the just overwhelming power of the Reality Stone, and how that works, and I appreciated that.
Now, Gamora had told Quill if basically I know something and I can't tell you what it is, but if Thanos gets me, you need to kill me. So he promises that. The original script did not have Star-Lord attempting to kill Gamora, and that was something James Gunn and Chris Pratt said no, he should do this, because that makes Thanos's attempt to kill Gamora and succeeding. That makes Thanos's attempt to kill Gamora and successful attempt, spoilers, to kill Gamora more impactful, because Thanos grabs Gamora, and I absolutely love. First of all, Brolin in this movie, showed the depth of Thanos, and I think that's why they picked someone like him. You got to see kind of how his mind works when he was totally in control of the situation, and he was like, "Oh, she made you promise to kill her. Okay, go for it." And he's just beckoning him, brings Gamora right to him.
Well, and it's I think there's a curiosity there.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Thanos is so much higher than Star-Lord, and his curiosity to see, okay, well, what's going to happen here? I have the Reality Stone. She's safe. He didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, there's no problem there, which I thought was great. And then you get to see Thanos talks to Gamora afterwards about Titan and how. He tells does it Stark about that? No, it was Gamora. Talks about how Titan had everything, and the population was out of control. People were utilizing the resources too harshly. He had the theory of, okay, well, if we just get rid of half the people indiscriminately, then everyone will have more. Everything will be more plentiful, and everyone thought he was crazy. Hence the Mad Titan. And sure enough, Titan was destroyed by their own resources, similar to like a Krypton kind of thing, where it's like you're utilizing too many of your own resources. This is a flawed logic, obviously. Everyone's picking that apart on the internet. There is no answer. There's no answer to this that there's no answer that the Reality Stone or any of the stones could fix, because if you trim off half the population, the population is going to grow again. I mean, that's what's happening in the world right now. We've tripled the population in the past 75 years in the world because we can. That's what would happen if we trimmed off half the sentient population of the universe. They're just going to grow those numbers again, and we're going to be in the same situation. Similarly, if you double the resources, because there's double the resources, the populations will grow exponentially again.
And it's the problem of the population growing exponentially while the resources can only grow usually sequentially.
Correct. So Thanos's idea is the flawed, which is the point. That's the point of it. But his idea.
And he also saw. I think one of the things that really strengthened him and blinds him to the flaws in his own logic. Yeah. Is that he saw what happened. He saw one possible outcome if he's not listened to, and he wants to push this other idea.
Correct. He feels this is the ideology that will work, and I'm the only person who sees it. I'm the only person who has the gall to do something that immense. Yeah. And this movie is Thanos' movie. This is a hero's journey for Thanos. He is stopped at every turn. The antagonists of the Avengers are stopping him from his goal of getting all of the stones. And that's one thing that I think is really interesting about it, is he is a very good villain because he has his own arc, which normally villains' arcs aren't completed.
Yeah.
So this is very much his movie. You got to see the sadness in regards to that. You also got to see him finding Gamora, and Gamora confronting, or Gamora talking to him as if she was an equal. She's just like, hey, I need help. I don't know where my mom is. And he saw in her like this inner strength. Yeah. And that's why he loved her, because he didn't see that in so many other individuals. So when Gamora tells him where the Soul Stone is, because he's torturing Nebula, brings him to the Soul Stone. That really adds gravity to their relationship, which I did not expect at all Red Skull to pop up in this movie.
Yeah.
I was floored. I thought it was Death when you first get there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very cloaked figure. It looked very Wraith-like. I thought it was Death, but I was thinking it's a man's voice, and on both DC and Marvel, Death's not a man.
Yeah.
And then got to see Red Skull, and I thought it was Hugo Weaving. It's not. It's I can't remember the actor's name. It's the guy from one of the guys from Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. But he's transported there when he tried to interact with the Tesseract, because mortal, feeble beings like us cannot possess these stones. That's why the time gem is in the Eye of Agamotto. Because a human can't hold it. Thanos can, but that's only because he's so powerful. But when he describes the situation and says that you have to sacrifice someone that you love, I loved the interaction there where Gamora didn't realize this whole time that everything Thanos has done and done to her is because he loved her.
Yeah. And it was also interesting to see because a lot faster than Gamora did, and so we could see Thanos realize what he was going to have to sacrifice in this instance, and for Gamora specifically to sit there and say, "Aha, you love nothing," and to watch the sadness in his eyes, and like you were talking about the arc, we don't usually get to see that. Usually, we think of villains as just finger tapping and I'm going to do this thing. We don't see the sacrifices that they go through, and I think that that's another reason why it was important to I think that while they didn't necessarily show it, it did add a bit of gravity to the loss of Ebony Maw.
It really did. And I know I'm not the only person who's said this, but I mean, at that moment, I really felt for Thanos. I mean, the sacrifice that he had to make, and him again. The whole mentor father figure aspect of the movie with theming with Stark and Parker showed he was like, okay, I guess I have to kill her because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Even when it comes to me. And that selflessness with his actions, and it was also, he, like he said before, you're killing half the universe indiscriminately, which means Gamora, just like anybody else, could die, and he cannot save her. Even when he does that, Gamora had to be on the table for that as well. So he throws her off the cliff or whatever, gets the Soul Stone, and then it's just like, oh, okay, I just got a couple more. I know. As soon as he did that, I'm like, okay, everyone's fucked at this point. There's no way out of it. There's no way out of it. The only thing I was curious about at that point was, is Vision going to live? Because I knew he was going to get the stone. But they bring Vision to Wakanda, and Shuri, who's probably one of the only people who could do this other than maybe Reed Richards, is trying to figure out how to get the Soul Stone out without killing Vision. And allegedly is not able to do that. We don't see what happened. I have a feeling that she has some backups or something to that effect. And it's not going to be the same person, but I think Vision's going to come back in the next movie, but it's not going to be... He's going to be a shell of his former self. I think that if he does come back, it's going to be a hard reset, a factory reset, and basically he's going to be wiped.
Yeah, and we've done that. They've done that in the comics, where he came back completely pale, which is how he was when Thanos grabs the mind gem out of him. He goes completely pale. In the comics, that happens, and he's lost his humanity, if you will. And Wanda is struggling to figure out, like, I love this person, but he's not anywhere near what he was. Which I felt for her, and I loved that they were having her protect Vision just to protect the stone, but when she does come out and starts wrecking shit, I love that the reaction was, why was she up there the whole time? Because she is the most powerful, other than Vision. Well, actually, I'd say probably more powerful than Vision, but she doesn't know her own power. Watching her unleash was great, and then she holds her own against Thanos at the very end. First Thanos goes to Titan, and I guess I should start there. But the fight there was what I loved about that, which again people are not talking about. Mantis holds Thanos down. Like, everyone's physically holding him, and he could just manhandle them. Mantis jumps up, holds him mentally, and if it wasn't for Star-Lord, that could have been the end. That could have been the end of the movie.
I think that was also an interesting scene because it showed the way that Thanos needs to be fought. I mean, he's such a physically and I mean, he is a colossal being that's just on another level. And but the reason that he's not able to see the flaw in his own plan is he's not as smart as he thinks he is. He is very tactical. He's very intelligent, but he does have a weakness there. And I thought that it was especially cool to see Mantis really strike at his weak spot there.
I love Mantis since Guardians 2, and watching her in this was great. Peter screws up as they're about they get the gauntlet off of him, but Peter punches him, and it's all over at that point, and he just wrecks everybody. I thought Stark was going to be dead. Watching their interaction, I thought Stark was going to be dead. We'll have to wait for the next movie to see which OG Avengers die, because he wrecks everything. Takes the time gem because Doctor Strange gives it to him, which he did because he knew the outcome. And I love that aspect.
He's any potential outcomes, and one of the things that I really enjoyed about that was he had a line, and I haven't heard a lot of other people talk about this, but he said something along the lines of, "We're in the end game now," and so having seen 14 million possible timelines, he understands that this is the way that things have to play out, and that type of overarching vision is something that Strange is known for, and I really appreciate that.
That line people are picking apart. There are people who are predicting that's the name of the next Avengers movie, is Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be, but I liked that interaction, because you also see, because Doctor Strange previously said, "Hey, if it comes to you or the stone, I'm gonna let you die." But then he realized, oh, this is bigger than my promise to protect the stone,
because which is incredible.
It's incredible, yeah. So.
And so it's fun to see his pragmatism played against Thanos's in that particular interaction. Yeah.
And when Thanos goes to Wakanda, he has everything but and when he ends up he just manhandles everybody. I mean, it's no big deal. He's using the different gems just to creatively mess with people at that point. Fusing Banner. I love Banner in the Hulkbuster armor, by the way. But fusing him into some rocks, just manhandling everybody in different ways with the gems. It comes up to Scarlet Witch, who's protecting Vision, and she almost has him.
She does defeat him, but for the Time Stone.
Except for the Time Stone. Well, Thor's basically the one who had that, right? Because Thor comes in with Stormbreaker and cleaves him, right?
Yes, but first Scarlet Witch fights him and defeats him, manages to take out the gem, and then he turns back time. Then Thor comes in. That's right.
He turns back time, takes the gem. Thor comes in there and cleaves him, and he says, "You should have aimed for the head, or should have been the head," and then just snaps.
And there was also the moment of Steve, Captain America, holding Thanos' hand open.
Hated it.
Just that was a bit odd.
It was odd. They were trying to show again Captain America's gall and pragmatism and how he could stand up to a god, Big G. But that just no. Like, Thanos on his own.
It's comic canon.
It's stupid. It's
It is,
stupid,
but
and sometimes
but it was
writers,
in the comics.
yeah, and sometimes writers are stupid and they shouldn't do what they do. That's like if they had a comic where Captain America arm wrestled Hulk and Captain America held his own. I'd say bullshit. There's no reason for it unless Hulk was just messing with him.
Yeah.
So Thanos gets all the gems, snaps his fingers, and has a conversation with Gamora about did you do it? Where she asks, did you do it? What did it take? And you see the gauntlet melts. Half of the sentient life crumbles. Mm-hmm. And we're left with the OG Avengers and a handful of others. But the Spider-Man's gone. Strange is gone. Black Panther's gone. Scarlet Witch is gone.
All of the Guardians except for Rocket, right?
Except for Rocket, yeah. And Parker's scene was crazy emotional. Apparently that was partially improv as well. But Parker's spider sense, because of that, he knew, he could sense, he could feel everything. Everyone else is surprised and confused. He's scared and knows what's going to happen to him, which is really emotional.
Something is coming because his spidey sense lets him know that something's coming, not necessarily what, and that's when he looked around something so immense and so powerful that he couldn't really comprehend it, and it just frightened the crap out of him.
So my theory, and the movie ends with by the way, the movie ends with Thanos, as he said, he's watching the sunset on a universe that is better after his actions, arguably better. So my theory, which is basically being validated by the directors, and I want to slap the shit out of them right now for saying anything. My theory was that Gamora is in the Soul Stone, and that when he talks to Gamora after his snap, he's talking to child Gamora, and I immediately said where he is right then is within the Soul Stone, and that she's trapped in there.
Yes,
because of the sacrifice. They've said, yeah, that's right. And I'm like, why the hell did you open your fucking mouths? Because this is stuff we're not supposed to know until May. Now, the rest of my theory is that everyone who crumbles is in the Soul Stone with her, because he snaps, she's in the Soul Stone, and he talks to her. He comes back out of that reality, if you will, and then people start crumbling. So we don't see who's in the Soul Stone. I think that all of them are in the Soul Stone, and everyone who died because of the snap will be able to come back.
Yes. I don't think that Gamora will be able to come back. If Vision comes back, he'll be different. And then Loki, Heimdall, those who were taken out in ways other than with the Soul Stone, I think will be able to come back. But I think that those who have been killed in other ways are lost.
I think Gamora being trapped in the Soul Stone means she could come back, which I think would be dumb from a gravity standpoint, from a emotional levity standpoint. I think would be a bad idea. I think that her being trapped in the Soul Stone will give her scenes in the next movie, but I think after the end of the next movie, she shouldn't be back, except that James Gunn 2 years ago or a year ago, whatever, said that Guardians 3, which is going to come out in a couple of years, Guardians 3 will be the last movie with this team of Guardians, because that may change after that. And he didn't mean death. He means he was specifying, saying, "Hey, there could be a change up in the team. It could be a death. That doesn't matter. Just saying, the team will be the same in Guardians 3." Now that we have Infinity War, I'm like, wait a minute. If the team is the same, that means Gamora has to come back, unless he was, I don't know, mistaken or.
Well, I mean, there can be a lot having changed between then and now, because I mean, these things evolve and they change, and sometimes they'll actually contradict previous statements made. Or say something that ends up not happening.
Sure. So. And Gunn is one of my. This is one of the things I absolutely love and respect about the guy. He will do something. He will write something. He will make something, and then something will be changed retroactively, or he'll make a mistake. He will talk about it. And he will say, "Hey, this is what I was doing. This is why it changed." Sorry. The biggest example of that is in Guardians 1, in the collector's room, Adam Warlock's cocoon is in Guardians 1.
Yeah.
And then Guardians 2. Did you see Guardians 2?
I have not.
Okay, so spoiler for an end credit scene.
Go ahead.
Spoiler for an end credit scene. Aisha, who is she in the comics. Mm-hmm. By the way, there's 5 end credit scenes on Guardians 2, so you have to watch all of them. One of them is she is sitting and looking at the birthing pod of Adam Warlock, and she said, "I'll call him Adam." And when that happened, people were like, wait a minute, he was supposed to be in Guardians 1. And James Gunn said, well, we were going to have him, and we were going to have that Easter egg in Guardians 1 of his birthing pod and then have him pop up later. Yeah. But because of the way that Marvel as a whole and the way Guardians 3 is going to go and everything, he said, we had to change that, and I'm sorry. I love that transparency, because he's saying, hey, this is art. Sometimes it changes. And it's nice to see that, because other directors like George Lucas will lie, and then lie on top of a lie, and then come back with the truth, and then lie again, and you're like, come on, dude. You know Luke and Leia were not supposed to be brother and sister in the first movie. We all know this. He didn't have all... Mark Hamill's even talked about when they were doing... before they did Empire, Lucas talked to him, and he was like, episode 6 is gonna be the search for your long lost sister, and then like all these different things that didn't end up happening. But I think that part of it's the humility and saying, hey, I was wrong, or I changed my mind, and I think that's a mature thing to do. James Gunn is very transparent when he's like, hey, I wanted to do this instead. He also shows a lot of behind the scenes stuff, which I really like. Yeah,
I also enjoyed that, because it shows that it's not just one person. He doesn't claim to have all the answers or to have everything correct, and he acknowledges that it's a collaborative effort, which Lucas was not willing to share the credit, and I appreciate that. Again, going back to humility.
Yeah, I will say that if now that you've seen the movie, there are clips of what's his name? Mark Ruffalo spoiling like the end of Infinity War.
Okay.
Kind of, because they were talking to him, and they're talking about like deaths being impactful, and he's like, man, you should see this movie, like everybody dies. And Don Cheadle looks at him like, dude, what are you doing? But that one's pretty funny, because it was just open enough where you're like, well, what does that mean? How many people?
Yeah.
But the best one is there's a compilation of Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Holland. And it's Benedict Cumberbatch stopping Tom Holland from saying spoilers. And there's repeatedly where Tom Holland's about to say something, and Cumberbatch like stops him, and he's like, and he says something completely different. Which, I mean, this movie is big enough that a handful of people knew enough of what was going to happen, and then other people like Anthony Mackie was given like 22 pages of the script, and that's it. Which I think is smart with this many people, but they gave way too much information to the wrong people, and I don't think they're not going to be able to punish Tom Holland for that. But I don't know, it's kind of interesting that you have these actors who don't realize, like who was it? Robert Redford he was the one in Civil War, right? Or not Civil War, Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Was it Redford? So yes. Redford, like 4 or 5 months before the movie came out, he was doing interviews, and he's like, yeah, this is really interesting. I haven't been a villain in a movie. And immediately Marvel's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like it's a different era that we're in now, where we're very conscious of spoilers.
Yeah.
But it's like, you spoiled like a twist. I'm glad a lot of this didn't get spoiled for me. I did theorize a lot of things that ended up happening, but only because some things I didn't expect them to actually do. I didn't expect them to kill off Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was really difficult for me when when they sold Spider-Man.
Yeah, I've yeah, I've been irritating when I know that someone's seen the movie. Every now and then I'll just say, "Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good," and it'll just trigger people like immediately. they're like, "Don't, no, too soon." His
Stop.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's so impactful. I think that Tom Holland as an actor was able to pull that off. Which is why you got why they had someone that good. His innocence as well adds to the weight of that situation. So I already talked about my predictions for the next movie, that everyone's in the Soul Stone. I guess I should say the question is, who do you think will undo what has been done? Because something has to be undone. Who do you think will do it if you could name a person?
Nebula.
That's who it is in the comics. So, or she has
really?
she has a very, very big role in it. At least she gets the gauntlet and is instrumental in undoing it. I think it works really well, and I could definitely see that happening in the next one because of her relationship to Thanos, because of her relationship in realizing her love for Gamora, which again, Guardians 2 kind of solidifies more of that, because Guardians 2. The beginning of the movie, she's just like talking about killing Gamora, and that's like all she wants to do because of what Gamora did to her. And you kind of see more of that sisterly love towards the end of Guardians 2. And this movie, you definitely see that bond between the two of them. They both have PTSD from being abused by their adoptive father, and they're taking it in different ways. I think Nebula will be instrumental. I think that Stark may end up being a huge part of it as well. I think that either Captain America or Stark will die at the end of the next movie. I think it should be Captain America, but I don't know if they'll do it. But I think it should be Captain America. Could be both of them, but I think we're gonna have some real deaths at the end of the next movie.
What if we have to sacrifice the original Avengers to get the new team?
Could be good, but they're not going to sacrifice Hulk, because Hulk has 3 movies coming out.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I
or 2 more.
I work on not knowing things.
Okay, so
I just get to randomly guess.
Okay, so I could see that happening for the most part. I don't think it'll be a clear delineation, but I could definitely see that happening. I could definitely see that happening because I feel that there needs to be a transition to the new Avengers, because we have heavy hitter Avengers on the team that are not the original lineup for the movies.
Yeah,
we could easily do an Avengers movie with Black Panther, with Spider-Man. I'd throw Guardians in there as well because they haven't been part of it.
And Scarlet Witch.
And what? Scarlet Witch, yeah. Scarlet Witch. Yeah, I mean, there's heavy hitters enough that you could sustain a team and then bring in other characters, which they've obviously been talking about growing the roster as well. So, yeah, I'm happy about it. I'm excited about what's going to happen, and I absolutely love Josh Brolin in this movie. I think he and Ebony Maw stole the show, and now I got to look up the guy who played Ebony Maw and figure out what the heck else he's in.
I'm also really glad that we only have to wait a year for the next one.
Yeah, only have to wait a year. We have Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out, and we have Captain Marvel. Which was the end credits scene. So my only question now is, where the heck has she been this whole time? Where has Captain Marvel been the whole time? Because Nick Fury had a contact with her, and she's been missing for 20 years, 25 years, whatever.
Yeah,
so irritated about that, but I think the movie will answer that. And Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm looking forward to because I really liked Ant-Man. Paul Rudd's hilarious, and Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp is going to be really cool too. So, again, only a year before the next one. That's not that bad. And we have Deadpool to look forward to, which is not associated with this movie. But at least we have that to make us happy, and Solo's coming out too, so we'll see. Anyways, that's it for our spoilery kind of review. Let us know in the comments what you think about our insight of the movie, and if you think our predictions are wrong, or what you think is going to happen in the next movie. And do you think Thanos will be gone? Do you think that Adam Warlock will show up in the next movie? I don't think he will. Do you think Silver Surfer will show up in the next movie? I don't think he will either, but I'd love that. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for watching This Week in Our Collective Heads. Subscribe over here and click the bell, and that way you'll know about any new videos that we put up, because we put up a lot of gameplay, a lot of stories from games and stuff like that, and gameplay is down here.
Yeah, and you got more editorials and news stuff down here. Check it out.